When you think of Gary Payton, you might think of the trash talk. You might think of the glove-tight defense, or maybe you remember the iconic Sonics teams of the 90s flying up and down the court with swagger, intensity, and edge. But what if I told you one of the most important moments of Payton's career didn't come during his prime? Didn't come when he was putting up 20 and 8 in Seattle? Didn't even happen when he was guarding Jordan in the finals? Because what if I told you Gary Payton might be the reason Shaquille O'Neal didn't burn it all down in Miami the same way he did in Los Angeles?
I was an OG on there. I was the oldest one on the team.
Jason Williams kicks it out. Payton shot. It's good.
I told Pat, I said, man, you got to get out the room. I said, I got to take over this team right now.
Miami Heat, they've done it. They win their first championship in franchise history.
I let everybody understand that we needed to have D-Wade to be the man.
The glove may have saved a championship, saved a relationship, and maybe even saved Shaq's legacy. And he did it behind closed doors. In 2004, Gary Payton walked into the Los Angeles Lakers locker room for the first time. Shaquille O'Neal was still Shaq, dominant, larger than life, and already a 3-time NBA champion. But the tension with Kobe Bryant, you could feel it in the air. Payton didn't need to guess what was happening. He saw it play out in real time. A superstar partnership splitting at the seams. The Shaq-Kobe feud wasn't just about basketball. It was about ego. It was about control. It was about who got to be the man. And it was destructive. The Lakers had everything. Talent, coaching, pedigree, and still they collapsed. Shaq was traded. The dynasty was over. And Payton, he walked away from that season with a lesson. A painful one. He knew what it looked like when pride got in the way of greatness. Now fast forward to 2005. Gary Payton is now a 37-year-old veteran joining the Miami Heat. He's not the all-star anymore. He's chasing one last chance at a ring. And guess who's there? Shaq. Again. But this time, the co-star isn't Kobe. It's a 24-year-old phenom named Dwayne Wade. Wade was electrifying, explosive, a human highlight reel. He had just averaged over 27 points per game and was rising fast into superstardom. And Payton could feel it. That same tension from LA, it was bubbling in Miami. He saw it coming before it fully hit. The Heat had 2 alpha dogs, one aging, one ascending. And if history repeated itself, they were going to fall apart. So Payton made a choice. He called a team meeting, sat the group down, and said the thing nobody else wanted to say. He said, and I quote, "We were having problems with who was the go-to guy, and Shaq at the time was not our go-to guy. I just called a team meeting and said, look, we got to know how to play our roles."
I told Pat, I said, man, you got to get out the room. I said, I got to take over this team right now. So when I took over the team, I let everybody understand that we needed to have D-Wade to be the man. He just had to be the man, and everybody had to play a role. Shaq had to step down. It was over for Shaq. I thought he can get the ball on the second tier and be our dominant.
And then he pulled Shaq aside, one-on-one, man-to-man. Because here's the thing, Payton and Shaq were brothers. That gave him the license to speak hard truths. And Payton didn't sugarcoat it. He said, if we're going to win a championship, you have to be like me. Forget it. Our time is over. Let's win the right way. Let's win now. That's a tough pill to swallow for anyone, let alone one of the most dominant big men in league history. But it worked. Let's be clear, Shaq was still productive. He averaged 20 and 9 that season. But it was the lowest scoring average since his rookie year. The offense had shifted. Coach Pat Riley was designing everything around Wade's speed, his ability to slash, to break defenses down. Shaq was still crucial, but the spotlight now belonged to D-Wade. And Shaq, he didn't fight it. He listened to Payton. That alone is remarkable, because Shaq has never been shy about wanting to be the man. This was a guy who once said, when you come to my team, you have to win on my terms. But this time, he adapted. He deferred, he bought in, and that changed everything. The 2006 NBA Finals were a turning point. Miami went down 0-2 to Dallas. The series looked all but over. And then Dwayne Wade happened. Wade averaged 34.7 points per game for the rest of the series. He was a one-man wrecking crew. Meanwhile, Payton, playing just 20 minutes a night, hit clutch shots in Game 3 to shift momentum. Shaq played his role. He battled inside, he rebounded, he anchored the defense. And the Heat, they won 4 straight. Championship sealed. For Gary Payton, it was everything. After 17 seasons, 9 All-Star selections, and over 1,300 games, he finally got his ring. Not as a star, but as a leader, as the voice that stopped the train from crashing. Let's be honest, this could have gone the other way. Shaq could have resisted. He could have burned his bridge with Wade just like he did with Kobe. And if that had happened, the Heat don't win that ring. Wade's rise could have been delayed. Shaq's legacy might have taken a permanent hit. Think about that. If Shaq had fractured another superstar relationship, if another young teammate had walked away frustrated, how would we talk about him today? We'd probably say, great player, but impossible to build around. Instead, we say one of the most dominant bigs of all time and a champion on multiple teams. That distinction matters. It also brings us back to Shaq and Kobe, the biggest what if in NBA history in some people's opinion. If those two had put their egos aside, if they had worked like Shaq and Wade did, they could have won 5, 6, maybe even 7 titles together. They stayed elite after the breakup, don't forget. Kobe won 2 more, Shaq got another one in Miami. Together, they were unstoppable, and that would have likely continued. Even in 2004, they made the finals. But ego destroyed the dynasty. That's why this Miami story hits so hard. Because this time, the lesson landed. Shaq listened, and Payton made sure of it. Payton didn't just win the title in 2006, he earned it. He sacrificed, he came off the bench, he took fewer shots. And that's hard to do for a former All-Star. He played the long game, saving the team from the inside out. This is why veterans matter. This is why teams like the Heat and the Lakers still chase Payton in the twilight of his career. He brought more than defense. He brought wisdom. People thought Payton would retire ringless after Seattle, but he found a way. And Shaq, he's admitted many times that he didn't always take advice. But looking back now, listening to Payton in 2006, that might have been one of the best decisions of his career. So the next time you think about Shaq's 4th ring, don't just remember Wade's finals heroics. Don't just remember the big man's alley-oops and post-up dunks. Remember Gary Payton, the glove, the veteran and the leader who made it all possible. The man who pulled Shaq aside privately and told him the truth. We remember the dunks, the blocks, the trophies, but sometimes the most important moments in NBA history don't even happen on the court. Sometimes they happen in a quiet locker room. When a 37-year-old point guard pulls a 7-foot titan aside and says, "We can't do this your way, not this time." Payton may not have scored the most, he may not have played the most minutes, but he might have made the most important decision of that Miami Heat season. And that's why he's still one of the most respected veterans in league history. That's why teams still wanted him so late in his career. That's why legends like Shaq, now looking back, actually thank him. Because this story, this isn't just about winning a ring. This is about knowing when to lead, when to step up, and when to put your ego aside for something bigger. So what do you guys think? Would Shaq and Kobe have won 5, 6, or 7 titles if they figured it out? Did Payton save Shaq's legacy with one conversation? And is this one of the most underrated leadership moments in NBA history? Let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more stories that go beyond the stat sheet. My name is Damian Peters, this is Basketball Network, and we'll see you in the next one.